What is up, everybody? What is up? Sorry for the delay. If you ever want to be anywhere on time for anything, here's a little advice. Don't get like married or be with somebody like for the rest of your life. Like be single because that woman is probably chances gonna make you late to a lot of things. That's just the God's honest truth now, isn't it? Um, everybody LSU Odyssey Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live. We gotta change that. Not starting momentarily, starting now, brother. And you know what? College football, it is upon us. Football in general, it is right upon us. Can't you feel it? I mean, we just saw the opening preseason game for the NFL. We saw Jaden Daniels just literally walking past some defensive linemen into the end zone for his Washington debut. We saw Malik Neighbors for the Giants. Preseason football is in the air. Preseason football is in the air, and college football, there's no preseason. When the bullets are flying, it's all live. And I shouldn't use that comparison with bullets, but there it is. And it's a very interesting season that's coming up here in the mix. Really, this is a season of a lot of firsts. You got the 12-team playoff, something we've always dreamed of like some expanded, just like a couple rounds, not some like huge March Madness type tournament. No, but just like one, maybe 2 rounds, 3 rounds, something like that. And we dipped our toes in those waters with the Final Four, with the college football playoff. And now it's immediately going to 12, and I think the prospects are very tantalizing. You could have LSU hosting a playoff game in Tiger Stadium. If that doesn't get the mouth watering, I don't know what. I mean, there's some things I guess that could definitely do that, but if you're an LSU fan, I don't know what can get you going more, get you more revved up than that. It's oh my God, this season could end up if LSU, say lose 2 games and then still get in as one of the 11, 12, one of those seeds, the final few seeds. LSU has a chance to actually play 17 games in total if we were to, you know, lose a couple games, still get double-digit wins, get into the postseason still by the skin of our teeth, and then go on a run, hosting a playoff game in the first round, going abroad for the second round, then going neutral site for the next 2. Like, this could be one hell of a ride. And there's literally no like, hey, this is where it's going. No definitive like knowledge of this is where it's going. This is how it's going to end up. Usually it's like, okay, there's only one real thing I think that we can really make a safe bet on this season is like Georgia is going to probably be in the Final Four, right? They'll probably be one of those top seeds. They've got a difficult schedule, but for them, it's a difficult schedule for them. Like usually they get these really cupcake schedules. So they're probably going to be there. The fact that LSU, I think, is another guarantee of not as them being a very underrated, overlooked team. I think is another guarantee. A team that is being universally slept on is another guarantee, in my opinion. I just think when you see this team basically 12, 13, 14, 17, 19, the coaches poll had LSU the highest than out of all the other preseason rankings I've seen from anybody. So it's been very interesting to see that LSU have been overlooked and not thought of very much because, the terrible defense from last year, first year offensive, starter at quarterback, all these things. They throw them in the hat and they're like, okay, LSU, you're going to have a bad season. They lost all this returning production, blah, blah, blah. I understand that basically LSU on paper looked like a team in transition. If you were to just say that to somebody, this is the first year that this guy's starting. They had a terrible 107th ranked defense last year. Um, this is only Brian Kelly's third year here too. Ton of rising expectations now as honeymoon period is kind of over. New coaches, blah 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 blah. If you just said all this stuff on the surface, it sounds bad for LSU, right? It sounds like a kind of a nightmare situation. But if you actually look at like what the reality is there, it's like actually very promising. The new coaches, oh my God, new coaching staff. Well, those new coaches are some of the best in the country. When you got Corey Raymond, a guy who isn't really new or even lacking familiarity with the defensive players that he's coaching right now. These are guys he recruited, guys he signed to LSU back in 2021. And the same thing with new defensive coordinator Blake Baker, who he was the one basically primarily responsible for getting Harold Perkins to come to LSU, and pretty much secured that signature before he was fired by LSU. So these are guys who coached a lot of these veteran players back in 2021 with Blake Baker, Jake Olson, the safeties coach, and then Corey Raymond. This is not the first time at LSU. Bo Davis, universally known across the board as one of the best in the business. He commands that pedigree. Every defensive lineman is given their everything on every rep for this guy. He has that type of presence. They do not want to disappoint this man. I think the coaching staff is going to be. I think this coaching staff is going to be a very big X factor, guys. I think if LSU are to win a national championship, if LSU are to get close to winning a national championship, it will be because this coaching staff elevated this team. And sometimes that's by just being like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're using this guy over here. This fourth or fifth guy that no one's even talking about is actually really the secret here. Not because he is the best player at this position, but because when we put him at this position, maybe it balances everything out. Like they're going to find little idiosyncrasies, little patterns, and bits of character within this defense as well, and offense as well, to figure out the issues, to figure out the put the puzzles to the put the pieces to the puzzle together. I think you're going to see that with LSU's defense, with LSU's offense. I don't think it's going to be as clean as people expect or people don't expect. I think there is just way too many extreme voices of opinion when it comes to LSU football this year. I think the truth is, once again, perhaps somewhere in that, residing in that middle. And that's not to say LSU is going to end 9-3 and not even make the playoff. I'm not saying that at all. I'm going to say right here and right now, so you all know where I stand. If LSU do not make the college football playoff this season, you can count on me to be among the first to say, okay, then this season is a failure. Like, as far as a collective team effort, winning, losing, it is a failure. Was last year a failure as far as that, a collective team effort to win games, to win a championship? Yes, it was. We still had a Heisman winner. We still had a guy who should have won the Blitnikoff. Really, you could have even argued that Malik and Brian could have shared the Blitnikoff. Such were their shared greatness. Second best offense in program history and one of the best offenses in SEC or college football history ever. And everyone's saying, okay, but you didn't win anything. And yes, that's hugely expected of us now when we're no Jaden Daniels, no Malik Neighbors, no Brian Thomas Jr. There's no Charles Turner at center, who I think is going to be a big miss at times. No Jay Bramblett at punter, could be a colossal miss. And I hope to God not. Blake Oceandorf is kind of showing us that he might be the answer to fix that. But I'm still a little worried. But it's a very intriguing season because LSU have a lot of questions. LSU have a ton of questions all over the field, all over the depth chart. And in answering them, they only have another week or two to answer these questions. LSU, they're in trying to answer these questions in pursuit of what is what does our team look like? What is the identity of our team? What is the makeup of our team? Who are the guys we're going to be counting on every single play? In doing that, you've seen some guys literally have to leave this team because of the intensity, because of the will to win of these coaches, because of the will to win of these players. It's edged some guys out. There's been kind of a call of the wild, kind of this like number of the beast type pecking order, food chain type thing, where it's like guys have been eaten, guys have been consumed by this, and we've seen some guys some spots being solidified. You've seen, for instance, Kyron Lacey. That's a duh. That's an obvious one, but he has proven that however you stack the receivers, however you put them up, I'm going to be that number one guy at least, or should be on the field with the receivers on most plays, 99.9% of plays. He has made that case. Chris Hilton Jr. has actually also made that case. CJ Anderson, here and again, has made that case. It's been very interesting for what we've seen from, and you got John Emery Jr. making that case at running back. You got Josh Williams almost like not fading, but and he's still making plays in practices. But John Emery Jr. is just surging. He has a huge ascendancy. He's just climbing. And Caleb Jackson's playing well. He's got that steadiness about him, and Caleb's going to get the ball a lot. I can't help but feel that John Emery Jr. might be that number one guy this year. Like, whether it is against USC, whether he's out there to start the first play or not, I think he's going to be the guy getting the ball the most. I think because they can just simply use him in so many different multiple ways, and he's a constant outlet. You saw him catching touchdowns against Alabama and Florida and all these big teams, Auburn, Texas A&M, in these big games, catching, rushing, he was doing it every way, shape, or form. John Emery Jr., that was in 2022. He had a big season in 2022. That's why he made our top 10 Tigers of that season. He had, 7, 8 touchdowns? And I think it was 5-3 rushing to catching. And every one of those touchdowns was high impact, like game-changing, tone-setting type of touchdowns. Big, monstrous plays in these games. So John Emery Jr., do not sleep on what he could provide this team this season. And you've seen, you just have to look at the screen grab we're using from the Verdon Verdict. Great YouTube channel, by the way. This guy has awesome content. Great footage. Knows what to have his lens on. This guy, fantastic stuff. I've seen him in action. I've seen him working down there before at spring, at fall camp. Great dude, Jacob Verdon. You've seen with the screen grab we've used from the Verdon Verdict that literally Joe Sloan, John Emery are in the middle of this high five that's just like, okay. There's an appreciation, there's an understanding here of like what could be possible, what type of fireworks could be possible. Fred from Plano says, what will it take for LSU's defense not be softer than hospital cotton this year? What is this hospital cotton stuff? This is crazy, Fred. Will LSU's defense not be softer than hospital cotton this year? And 2, the college football playoffs to be a mere formality. Fred, you keep saying this. I love it. Usually, you know, people can repeat a joke and it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But this one is just, it gets zanier and weirder and just hilarious. Fred, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Uh, Here's the thing. I think getting into that to being one of those 12 best teams in the country, I think that's not only LSU's destiny, but that's like it should be LSU's birthright every single season. Like we should absolutely definitely be one of the top 12 best teams in college football. And if we're not, what are we doing? Who's running the program? Get him out. Who's coaching the team? Get him out. If LSU isn't one of those top 12 teams year to year to year to year to year at least, what the hell's going on? And I'm not even not what are we talking about? Not top 12. If LSU are not in the top 4, at least, and I understand things happen. I understand things go wrong. I understand injuries happen. The way LSU are recruiting, the way LSU are putting these brilliant recruiting cycles together that are just layered with depth you don't even realize we have. Oh yeah, there's Kylan Jackson. I forgot about him. Oh yeah, there's Kylan Billy. Oh, I forgot about him. There's a lot of Kylans. I forgot about Dominic McKinley over here. Like you just forget how much depth is actually on this team, on the rosters, to come ahead of us. Like 2025, it looks even more monstrously stacked in the positions we've needed. And so there's still, a gap to be bridged at defensive back. There's still a gap to be bridged at defensive line. Those gaps are getting thinner, though. They're getting closer together. Like LSU were so far apart at defensive back in 2022. Look at how many transfers we brought in to kind of shore that position up. And then this spring at defensive line, it's unbelievable what we saw in the transfer market. We lost so many guys at defensive line a year or even 2 ahead of schedule than we expected. Going back to Jaquelin Roy, LSU lost him maybe a year ahead than of what they thought because they were kind of preparing for him to stay, and then he went. I always knew he was going to go, and they're oh shit. Well, we don't have to replace him because we've got Jacobian Giller, we've got this guy, we've got this. Oh, we're fine. And then suddenly, thank God for Mekhi Wingo having an All-American season in 2022, or who knows where LSU interior defensive line would have been because, Mason Smith wasn't there. And even if he was in 2023, it was him basically getting back into shape. LSU have been in the twilight zone at the interior defensive line, and that could absolutely still destroy us. Because seriously, Fred, anyone who has watched fall camp footage, they're going to skip past the parts where the guy just kind of runs through the middle and just kind of runs up into space, and it just looks like the guy just kind of walks through and doesn't look like anything happens. But if you rewind and you watch what's going on in the trenches and who's getting crushed and who's getting moved out of the way, and if it's our defensive linemen, which I've seen quite a bit, I've seen some good wins too. I've seen some good fighting as well, way much more than last year. I'll say that. But if you see that type of stuff, you're, oh shit. It's literally the guy, like those 25, those 30, those 40-yard runs we allowed ad nauseum in 2023 and to some extent in 2022, at least in the blowout game and blowout losses against Tennessee, A&M. It's just LSU might be a little soft through the defensive middle in the front because of that lack of steel on the defensive line. They've got some guys who can play. I'm not saying they can't, but when you're against some of the best running backs in the SEC, some of the best offensive linemen in the SEC who are extremely athletic, they not only can bully you out of the way, they move you out of the way. They run you out of the way, and they do it legally. It's that's why we have to be very careful to not get Harold Perkins caught up. He's coming through on an inside blitz, okay, from inside middle linebacker, right? They see it coming, and they basically block the defensive tackle who's already helpless on the play. The guards and the center basically block him right into Perkins and get him stuck in this moment, and they just run a counter right to the other side. Boom. Harold Perkins and the defensive tackle and probably another guy completely out of the play, don't even have a chance on the play. And the guy's got 30 yards before you can even count to 2. He's just gone. That is what I'm afraid of in some instances. We cannot get our guys caught in the wash. I know it sounds so simple and so stupid and so brainless, but that is what football is sometimes, where you literally have guys just get stuck. They just get stuck in this just clusterfuck of bodies. Go watch what happened to Harold Perkins against Florida State last year. That is what happened. Look at what happened with LSU's defensive back mistakes, our big-time coverage mistakes the last, 4 years, going back even to 2020, okay? What is the biggest reason that those happen? Usually it's some type of deceptive movement, the scissor routes, where they would run guys right into each other. Remember that? Even Stingley and Flott were victims of that. It wasn't just like, Demarius McGee and LT Welch or whoever. It was Stingley and Flott getting run into each other. I don't know what the hell was going on with our defensive backfield in 2020, 2021, but it was insane. There were huge mistakes where guys were getting run into each other. The movement, in the deceptive movement, that's the type of things, guys. Those are the type of things. We're running so hard. We want to stay aggressive. We want to be so fast to the ball. I worry about the football IQ of some of these players. Because you want... Do LSU have elite level guys on the defense, interior defensive line? Answer me that question right now. Let's be as honest as we can possibly be. I'm not trying to say, hey, this guy can't play. Hey, this guy can't play. We'll see. Because I think there's guys like Jacoby and Guillory, Geaux Pates, who are probably going to have to have damn good seasons. They have to have damn good seasons. Who are we kidding? They have to have damn good seasons for LSU to be respectable on defense. Really. For LSU to have an established spine on defense, Geaux Pates, Jacoby and Guillory have to deliver. Just no question. Someone has to deliver there. Sean Washington, Dominic McKinley, JVR Suggs. Are those elite level guys? I'm not trying to be like, hey, no, these guys aren't elite. They're not going to deliver. But do you think those guys can stop the best running backs in the SEC? Their technique is going to hold up for 17 potential games. LSU are going to have a strong rotation at defensive tackle where they're going to have to rotate guys in and just really keep them fresh, keep the motor high, and basically just hope that the energy and the will to get through and to clog things up and to break protections up, blow plays up, and hopefully some type of anticipation, some improved football IQ from the middle will harvest itself, and guys like Jacoby and Guillory will produce the season that really we always expected from him. That's the thing about Jacoby and Guillory. It's not like he's a guy who, at least in my perspective, just from covering him so long. I mean, it's been 5 years now. This isn't a guy who I expected, he's just going to sit on the bench for LSU and be, a whatever type of dude. He'll play here and there. No. I expected Jacoby and Guillory to come in and learn and kind of be like a freshman Bash brother alongside Jacoby and Guillory alongside Jaquelin Roy, his 2020 freshman class teammate. Those two were very tight. And Jacoby and Guillory looked very good All signs were looking like this guy's gonna be sick, right? And then he got hurt, and it seemed like it set him back a whole like calendar year. And then he goes into 2021, he gets hurt again as well that season, and it's just like this guy is barely having any luck. And then he edged his way back. 2022, he looks better. You know, he's starting to get back onto the field for some reps. He's actually playing, and that bowl game is his best game in LSU uniform against Purdue. And then again in 2023, he's kind of that backup guy. I think should have had a lot more reps because you just weren't getting enough push from Mason. And then Mekhi Wingo got hurt. And it seemed like still Jacobian Guillory didn't really get that many reps. But when he played in that last game against Wisconsin, Jacobian Guillory, that might ultimately be, before this season, his best LSU uniform, game in LSU uniform against Wisconsin, against the Badgers. Jacobian Guillory, can he continue that stretch? Can he continue that stretch of really strong play? I loved what we saw from him against A&M, against Wisconsin. We brought that up. He was good against Auburn. We've seen Jacobian Guillory batting passes this spring and this fall. We've seen Guillory getting a push. We need Guillory to become that Tyler Shelvin for LSU this season. You know, you are just not going to let anyone, you shall not pass. Like, really. Like, you have to be that Gandalf on that defensive line. They shall not pass. Like, you have to be that dude this season for Jacobian Guillory, because we don't know what we're going to get from Geaux Pates. I think we're going to see him be hot and cold. I think we're going to see him make some plays and then kind of fade. And then you're going to see JVR Suggs come in, make some plays, not have some good plays. Kind of have a trade-off there. And then I think you're going to see some really good flashes from the young guys, but they won't be in there enough to make an impact. And I think what you really will probably end up seeing, and I really hope we don't see this. I hope we see more participants involved. But I really do think we will see Bo Davis really rely upon Jacobian Guillory, Geaux Pates, JVR Suggs, and Sean Washington. Really just those four. I think he's just going to really go through those four over and over and rely on those four. Recycle through those four. Whoa, hey, what's up, Barry Kennan? How you doing, my brother? Chris Melder says, can't stay, just want to say hello. Keep doing your thing, Lon. The best out there. Thank you, Chris. How you doing, brother? It's all good, Chris. You know how you can watch this later on after it's done, and it's still just as good as if you participated live, because I'm going to talk to you randomly throughout this show, Chris, as if you are watching it live. Okay? I'm literally going to pretend that we're having a weird conversation throughout this show. So it's like you're live with us, Chris. So when you're watching this in the future, it's going to come back to you a little like, holy shit, this is happening live. This is nuts. It's going to be live, baby. It's all live. I want to talk some day 8 details from our, LSUODYSSEY.com. Sadly, babies are so expensive. It's outrageous. We were able to do these trips all the time. Go to Louisiana, go to Atlanta, go to these places, cover LSU, and oh my God, we are desperately doing everything we can to try and cobble the money together. We're changing our habits, changing lifestyles even for ourselves to try and save that money, and to try and get out there, because that's how much it matters to us. And it hasn't been successful right now, but let's just say the business account, it's building, and we got to get out there. We got to get out there. And if we can't for fall camp, we will put every cent of our resources into games for this season, because it's just going to have to happen. I really, though, am desperate to get down there for fall camp. I hope there's some way we can get down there for this next coming Saturday. I would love to be there for this next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday stretch that's coming up right here, but we would literally have to be on a plane tomorrow for that to happen. The money's not there for that to happen, sadly. But despite, just as we've always done, whether we are there or whether we're here, we know what's going on, and we're going to give it all to you, the people. We're going to give you some firsthand, brilliant access from LSUODYSSEY.com. Their Day 8 Saturday practice article. Subscribe there at LSUODYSSEY.com/subscribe, of course. LSU, once again, on the Ponderosa. Beautiful day out there today, I was told. Beautiful day, I was told. And I'm just like getting so jealous. Like, oh, you guys aren't even getting crisped by cooked by the heat. Like, it's just been great for these people. Like, we got to get out there. Jair Brown, very weird practice for him, because he runs into Mason Taylor. No contact. Mason Taylor's not in the red jerseys, but it's like, hey, we're not supposed to be doing that. And he just pops him one, and the coaches get pissed. Jacoby Stevens is on his ass. And you can hear Jair Brown, the former Ohio State, transfer. He's kind of like, hey, he's pleading his case. Like, hey, man, I only ran into him. It's just come on. Like, let's relax here. And then you see Brown getting cooked, absolutely torched by Kyle and Billio on a scoring play on a deep route, just torches him. And then Brown picks off Garrett Nussmeier. It's just, that's how this fall camp has been. You think you figured a guy out, and then he makes some nasty, badass play that says, like, that's actually something you haven't seen all fall camp, this or this, whatever you just saw. Like, now you got to pay attention to me. Full stop. Like, oof. Now you got to take notice. There's some guys who've been showing out like that it's just, it makes me believe in this team more. When you see how much cachet this team has, see how much potential, possibility, options, just pure options. You gotta love it, baby. To quote Hot Rod Hundley, the great Hot Rod Hundley, you gotta love it, baby. It's not really happening right now for J.K. Johnson or for Jair Brown, the two former Ohio State corner transfers. You're seeing J.K. Johnson get torched routinely. He has a play here or there where he kind of gets his hand on a pass or whatever, but there's nothing dominant from J.K. Johnson. I have been yet to see J.K. Johnson really grasp that corner position by the scruff of the neck and say, this job's going to be mine. And I expected J.K. Johnson to deliver like that the second he arrived. But the person who told me that is no longer at LSU, and I think they would have been able to coach that into him. I don't know. I'm not so sure if him and Corey Raymond are quite on the same page coaching wise. I don't think. It seems like Corey Raymond can coach Louisiana kids, Texas kids, Florida kids, and then everyone else is kind of screwed. Yes. Jacobian Guillory has to be. He's got to be that guy that just plays well no matter who's in there next to him. He's just got to be the guy who just delivers for LSU on the defensive line no matter what. And he can't have excuses. He can't have games where he can whine or take plays off or go out for some water and go out for a breath. He really has to be that guy this season. He has a young daughter, which Blake Baker pointed out. He's got a baby now. I know you're going to see more from Jacobian Guillory now, knowing that detail. But yeah, I think Jacobian Guillory, this is a season where he's another question mark. We haven't seen it from him as a starter. We haven't seen it from him as a backup consistently. What will we get? I think we're seeing flashes of what we'll get this fall. And if you've been studying Jacobian Guillory and the footage, you're seeing some improvements. You're not seeing him become that elite, absolute all-world defensive tackle, but you're seeing him elevate his game in the right ways that could be very effective for the Tigers, depending on what the guy next to him does. Geo Pates, JVR Suggs, Sean Washington, whoever it is. But back to the secondary. Yeah, J.K. Johnson. I'm just not seeing it from him. Just not seeing it from him. Just not seeing it from Jair Brown. J.K. Johnson was torched by Chris Hilton Jr., just rising over the top inside that red zone, just like J.K. Johnson wasn't even there. But then, Johnson's able to bat a few passes away to save some face, and it's been a lukewarm. It's been a piss poor camp for J.K. Johnson, but that doesn't mean he couldn't still be the guy for LSU down the line. You never know with LSU. You never know with an injury here or there, improved play. You never know what's going to happen. But I really do think at corner you've got Ashton Stamps, and then you've got Zy Alexander, JV, and Toviano. I think those are going to be your two corners. Either one of those two, depending on Zy's health, and of course Ashton Stamps. Ashton Stamps, though, he is showing a propensity to get torched, absolutely beaten over the middle on these crossers, on these inside slants, and sometimes it's the double move stuff too, like the really lazy, slow to explode kind of like these little shake and bake moves where he's kind of like the receiver's kind of slow, he's stuttering on his release. Those plays, those routes, Stamps, it seems to really like hypnotize him, and then by the time he's got his hands caught in the cookie jar a little, it's something he's got to work on, because we have to have Stamps play well for us this year. He's going to be playing for us. He's going to be starting for us. He's going to be playing a ton of snaps this season. He played a lot of snaps last season. But Ashton Stamps is going to be playing a lot for us this season. We absolutely cannot have that young man fail. Cannot. Hoping to minimize his coverage liability at safety by moving him to star, Major Burns is still, even at star, he's able to be schemed into these coverage assignments, usually against a top 2 or 3 receiver. And as you've seen from these drills where, everybody, safety, corner, nickel, whoever you are, DB, you're covering guys, and we're just all kind of practicing catching drills, catching or deflecting, intercepting, whatever. 1v1 drills. Major Burns is getting roasted. Major Burns is getting just... he's getting filleted, guys. And I'm telling you, star is not going to be a good position for him unless there's something Blake Baker's got up his sleeve and he's going to run it just slightly differently than the way he did at Mizzou to accommodate that. Because you just cannot have Major Burns anywhere in coverage. He's got to be like an auxiliary linebacker, like edge rusher, basically, line of scrimmage eater, like someone who's just on that line of scrimmage wide as like a nickel slash, like he's kind of in this weird hybrid spot. I get it, but like, oh my God, I'm just terrified of him in coverage, guys. He allowed 6 touchdowns last year, 6 touchdowns just to himself. Like we saw CJ Daniels turn him into quicksand tonight. I mean, he literally was a pillar of salt by the time he was done with him. He's just making too many mistakes at star safety. And really, I mean, if he's part of the linebacker core secondary, he can and will be schemed into coverage. Like no matter who you are, if you're part of that back 6, or sorry, that back 11, you're gonna be schemed. Sorry, that back 7, you will be schemed into coverage at some point. And you've got to be able to do it. Burns can't do it. He can't do it. I'm worried about that. You do have true freshman Juwan Johnson at that spot. You could move Harold Perkins at that spot, which we've been crucified for saying, but I think it solves a lot of the issues and a lot of the questions you're worried about with putting Harold Perkins at middle linebacker. I really do think it solves so many things. It solves a lot of stuff with secondary. It solves a lot of stuff with the linebacking core. You can get Whit Weeks and Greg Penn III on the field with Harold Perkins every single play. You don't have to worry about Major Burns being in coverage or not because he's not on the field anymore. You've got Perkins, someone who can cover and shut down that receiver if they put him in coverage. You can shut down that tight end if they put him in coverage, and he can affect the line of scrimmage if they don't. Or if you just move him out of that spot, you could put Whit Weeks on the guy that they scheme this guy is now Perkins is going to blitz over here, but now they scheme, they've motioned this guy over. Now Perkins is going to have to cover him. No, he doesn't. Move Whit Weeks over. And Whit Weeks is covering that guy, jams him at the line. By the time he jams him at the line and they're trying to snap it and everything's going, Perkins already there making a play in the backfield. So there's options here when you have Whit Weeks, Perkins, and Penn III all on the field at the same time. That's why I said put Perkins, I think, at star, because I think it solves so many of the kind of problems you have. And then at safety, you got Gilbert and Sage Ryan. Stop playing Sage Ryan at corner. Just stop it. It's not his natural position. I really don't understand what they're doing. I don't. It made sense when Toviano was suspended. And it made me think, okay, they're doing this because Toviano's suspended. Wow, Sage might have to play corner this season. Oh my God, this is crazy. And then, of course, no, it's Toviano's back and he's still playing corner. Put the dude back at free safety. It's getting really ridiculous. You saw Xavier Thomas back from that hamstring injury. His movement looks so good. He looks probably 90%, 95%. I mean, that's just me being, conservative on that. You could literally say 100%. He looked that good. But knowing that it's his first practice back, hamstring, he's not 100%. Because as a former athlete myself, I know he's not 100%. So 90, 95, but he looked good. He looked good. So basically, if we take care of that hamstring well, he should be fit as a fiddle for that opener against USC. We were talking about Whit Weeks and about how. Sorry, I itched my nose. Oh, that felt so good. You didn't see it though. You didn't see it. Whit Weeks, he's kind of been overlooked here, I think. And you saw Blake Baker answer a question about him. And the woman who asked the question, I think it was Bree, was basically saying, is he kind of a starter or a backup? He's kind of just been with the second string with his brother behind Penn and Perkins. Where is he? Where do you view him? And I love Baker's answer, because if Baker actually abides by this answer and actually, this is actually how they do it, this defense has every right to, every possible edge, every possible advantage to be great. He said, quote, Whit Weeks, he is not a backup. I do believe we've got 4 starters in that room. We have 4 starters in that linebacker room. He's not a backup. He will play a huge amount for us. There was a lot of things he said. He put, his work ethic is second to none. He said a lot about Whit Weeks that just made me think, okay, well then you need to get him on the field with Perkins and Penn at the same time. Because then with Penn, you've got that steely, run-stopping, just football IQ. Okay? But he doesn't have the speed. Doesn't have the coverage skills. Whit has that. Whit also can just clean up the mess. Whit has the speed to go side to side like a heat-seeking missile. So I want to see Weeks on the field. Damn it, I don't understand why we even have to be asking this question, asking for him, almost demanding for Whit Weeks to be on the field, because obviously Blake Baker is going to play him a lot. But if Whit even plays less than 400 snaps this season, I would still think that is what? How did he play? They barely played him. I think you got to be looking in the 500, 600 snap area for Whit Weeks. Seriously, this season he is that good. His numbers don't show this, but he was cheated out of at least 3.5 TFLs as well. So don't forget how damn good Whit Weeks is, how fast he is, just how incredibly quick this guy is. Kamori on Pimpton. Holy shit, guys. We seriously have a bottomless pass catching targets for Nussmeier to throw at. We literally have a bottomless, just endless array of pass catchers. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it at LSU. We've seen great guys, we've seen great rooms, but it was these are the proven guys, these are the up and comers, these are the guys who can give you something, contribute here and there. This is everybody's going for it here. Everybody's close to being able to go out there and do something for LSU this season. And Kamori on Pimpton. Wow. Pimpton, my God, that catch he made. Oh my Lord. Thank God the WFB cameras were there to catch it. He's a madman. Pimpton is literally raising his game by the day. You've seen his catches just look better and better and better by the game. He's towering over his fellow Tigers. He's embarrassing some guys. He's bullying some of them. He's making a stark raving mad, enraging case to be that second tight end. He's got the job. He's got the job. I mean, Markway's gone now, cleared the path for him. But he's got the job. He's solidified himself. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Pimpton. I thought Pimpton was going to be the guy who would be transferring. I really did. Because it was either him or Markway, and it felt like Markway had that edge and that in with Kelly and Kelly in the staff. Like it felt like Markway had proven himself really well in 2023 and played really well, done some great things for the Tigers, and then in 2024. When it seemed like Pimpton was kind of out the door and probably would leave in the spring, when he stayed after the spring, I was stunned. But it was like, okay, we're going to be still 4 or 5 deep in the tight end room. This is crazy. And wow, good God. He has just made one ridiculous catch after another, and against safeties, too. This isn't just linebackers that are covering him. Pimpton has looked savage. He has been ridiculous. Lengthy, towering. The spread on this guy it's sickening. It's sickening. You just think of like a basketball player dunking on some dude when he's catching these passes. Mason Taylor will be that water carrier. He'll be that guy getting the possession passes. He'll be getting the 6 catches a game or whatever. And then Pimpton will probably be like maybe 1 or 2 catches a game, targets a game even. But they'll probably all be high impact. Talking about in the red zone, talking about taking advantage of his height, his hops, his hands. In those type of close quarters, red zone situations, he's almost automatic. It's just savage. It's just savage to me. I love what I'm seeing from Pimpton. And I could see Pimpton with 4 or 5 touchdowns this season. No problem. Really. I mean, Jesus Christ. This guy's... You even got Kylan Billio, who's going just crazy, catching passes on P.J. Woodland, taking P.J. Woodland for all he's worth. I mean, this is crazy. It is absolutely bottomless how many look at the names on this receiving core. Look at the names on this receiving core, okay? Well, first you had Aaron Anderson catch 2 touchdowns today. Chris Hilton and then CJ, all grabbed one today. But here's the thing. You got Lacey, you got Hilton, you got Daniels, Thomas, Anderson, Sampson, Nicholas, Parker, Billio, and then you got with your tight ends, Mason Taylor, Cameron Pimpton, Tradez Green, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 guys total. And I know I'm probably forgetting a guy or two as well. We are beyond sack to receiver, running back, and tight end. You got Josh, John, Caleb, Caden, Malachi Lane. And it's looking like John Emery Jr. is really making the case to be that number 1 guy. Oh my God, guys. LSU offensively have so many weapons that if we basically have all the scores and a lot of the predictions for this season, for our season preview done. We're now just writing like kind of the preview article, previewing the teams, right? Previewing the opponent a little, but mostly focusing on LSU in relation to the opponent, okay? Even when we're talking opponents, we keep it LSU focused. And it's just, I have to say, if LSU's offense doesn't score over 40 points in a lot of the games this season, it'll be a shame. Because the weapons are so bountiful. The weapons are, frankly, insane. And we've lost some guys because of just pure excess at some of these positions. It's just frightening how many options LSU has in the skill positions. Garrett Nussmeier threw the pick to Jair Brown, but had a really strong day besides that. 4 touchdowns. Brilliant in the 7-on-7. And then, of course, a few other people were critical of Nuss today, but some of the people who are critical of Nuss are people who are always critical of Nuss. And, AJ Swan, backup quarterback, had a really just brilliant pass to Kyron Lacey in the end zone, right past PJ Woodland in the corner. It was a howitzer type throw. Fantastic throw from AJ Swan. But really, you gotta love what you're seeing from LSU. I think there's a ton of questions. There's a ton of what ifs. There's a ton of possibilities. There's a ton of worries. But this is the time that LSU solves them. And I think, does LSU have enough duct tape? Does LSU have enough rope? Does LSU have enough this or that? Whatever, enough bullets, to get through the season? I think so. I think LSU have enough options. I think LSU has enough, strong, badass coaches. I think LSU has enough pedigree players throughout this roster who are going to produce. And I think LSU have enough players on their roster, enough leaders. And some of these leaders are like sophomores, redshirt freshmen. Like some of these guys have really barely played in the grand scheme of things, but they're leaders. It's kind of a strange thing we're seeing this season, where the youth are probably going to be the ones leading the charge and taking the most snaps, while the veterans kind of pave the way, and then maybe some of them like almost get out of the way. Because I really do think when you're talking about running back, Josh Williams, like, are you going to tell me right here and now that Caleb and John Emery Jr. aren't better than Josh? No, you're not. I just think there's ways that guys are going to be used that is going to get the best out of them. I think this offensive playbook, from what I'm seeing with Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, it's almost like exclusively predicated on taking advantage of matchups. It's not like, ooh, we're so obsessed and so married to this philosophy of offense, and it has to be this way. They're just kind of like, okay, that's the formation, that's the setup that's going to make that dude just rip the defense's head off. And they've seemed to find a lot of new wrinkles that are going to make some of these guys kind of take it to that next level offensively for LSU. It was somewhere around Barstow. Someone will get that inside joke. Someone will get that inside joke. Oh yeah, we're wearing our My Morning Jacket shirt because we're gonna go see My Morning Jacket live next Friday. It's gonna be an epic show. 2.5 hours, 3 hours show in Park City in the mountains at the Canyons Resort. Gonna be insane. Gonna be insane. Oh my God. We have to be at every LSU thing as much as we can. Like, any questions anybody has? Any comments anybody has? Any crazy weird things anyone has to say before we sign off here, if we're gonna sign off here? Fred from You shall not pass. You shall not pass. Stan Waters, thanks for being here tonight. Am I? Are we here tonight, bro? Whoa, bro, are we here tonight? Shit, bro, I think we're here tonight, man. Oh, shit. Shit, man, we're here tonight, bro. I know, Stan, you're probably mocking me for not showing on some show, but, you know, if everything were to work out how I intended it, how I prepared for it to work out, how I set it up to work out, it would. But sometimes there's some things that get in the way that really are annoying and terrible and just like, why? And so I really feel if I can continue to get better at this and continue to get more successful at this, um, the more and more and more that I continue to be able to invest more time into this and by having more money from it, so I don't have to work so much, and then therefore more money to travel, which is exactly what must be done. Take this to the next level. Then yeah, like I mean, it just would. I am so excited for the next stage of success taking off, and hopefully bringing some juicy fruits from its labors, because we've been working hard for about 5.5 years now, and it's been crazy. And we've been lucky to see two Heisman winners just in the time we've been writing with LSUODYSSEY.COM. Um, it was the uninterrupted sports odyssey .blogspot.com before it was LSUOdyssey.com, and then it became LSUOdyssey.com to have a more official hub. So yeah, we've been doing this since the 2018 season, and now on the cusp of 2024, we've had some really big milestones. We've had some really big opportunities. We've had some really big, really cool things, but I think now's the time to kick it into high gear, into overdrive. And I really, I really appreciate all the people who are here watching this and who are behind us, helping us do this, helping us maintain the focus and the intensity to kick ass with this. Because here's the thing: we think of this through the lens of someone who's like creative, like an artist, like someone who's making an album, someone who's writing a book, someone who's making a movie. You know, we don't think of this as some little piece of shit content we got to put out, and hopefully some people will like it. Like we really, even the live streams right now, like it's a performance. It's a crazy it's a performance that's 100% genuine and crazy, almost to a painful place of genuine realism. But it's like an artistic vibe. It's an artistic, creative vibe that we try and have throughout all of our stuff. It is not written for the jock who has two brain cells and never saw, a Tarantino film, has never heard the album Layla, not just the song Layla, but actually the album Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. Someone who has actually heard who the Flaming Lips are, someone like that, someone who's kind of a little weird, but they're very into sports just as much as you or the other person is. But they've been to a Ween concert. They maybe did some cocaine in high school. Like they they had a little trouble with the law at one point. They were the uncle that people were a little afraid to talk to at Thanksgiving. You know, that's our type of crowd. LSUOdyssey.com is we love the outsiders. We love the people who don't fit into some box. Um, And a lot of you guys are actually the most popular people on LSU Twitter, on LSU online. So it's kind of funny how it works out that way. And that's why there's a lot of cool things about today's society that you wouldn't have gotten back in the day, and that's one of them is this reversal of fortune when it comes to popularity for people like us who don't really conform or bend the knee. And I think that's the thing is we could be so successful right now had we bent the knee, had we like kissed so much ass to the right people, and I think you know what I'm talking about. If we had really, oh, I'm so sorry for that. Oh, no, we don't think that way at all. Oh, no, no, we never thought that. Oh, we would never say that. Oh, we would never, just have no balls about anything, have no soul about anything. Then yes, I could see us never being successful. But here's the thing. It might take a while for us to be successful doing this, but we're going to do it on these terms, this way. And I know it will be successful because people want this kind of stuff. All I do is get feedback from people saying, that was so weird when you did a show with your son running around and then it was you doing this. It was actually cool. It looked like it was a weird movie, like, because you're flying around, all this stuff was happening, all this just crazy and nuts. And I'm like, really? You think that? Okay, hell yeah. And so people actually kind of like the strange vibe, the strange setup. It's not always, we're in the studio, I have a stick up my ass, and my makeup is running a little, it's getting a little soupy, and oh my God, I'm holding a football because we're into football. Like, do I need a set behind me with footballs and some football helmets to talk football? And for you to know that it's football, for you to understand that we're doing football tonight, that we're talking football, did I have to wear an LSU hat? Did I have to have an LSU shirt on? Like, did I have to represent? Like, those people I think are trying so hard because they're like, oh, we gotta like when you look at me, you're hearing from me, it's about LSU football so much and for such a capacity that there's no reason to do some fake man cave chicanery bullshit of look at my man cave, I'm got in my LSU gear, look at my fake studio. Like, yeah, we're too poor to have a man cave. We're too poor to have a studio. So we gotta talk shit on it. But it doesn't make it not true, does it? It's still true. It's kind of funny that they're like, oh, think of LSU when you look at me because we gotta hammer it in your head, LSU. Already with my reputation, with what we've done, the work we have done, the stories we've broken, the mythology that has been created, not by us, but by others. You already know what you're getting when you come from us. You're getting it weird. You're getting it wild. But you're getting the whole damn thing with LSU football. You're getting the whole thing. Wire to wire. I should have included that with the W's. You're getting it wild, wire to wire. Oh, that would have fit even. Oh, that would have fit perfectly. That would have been so good. Oh my God. Everybody, we'll be continuing with, of course, Sunday coverage. We hopefully can get this guy on tomorrow. Very excited to have Marlon Favorite on the show tomorrow night. Marlon Favorite, big time LSU Tiger, and we are scheduled to talk to him tomorrow night. and hopefully nothing will, stop that from happening or get in the way of that, because I cannot wait to get his thoughts on this upcoming LSU Tigers team and what he thinks of that defensive line and what Bo Davis can bring to the Tigers. Everybody, I'm going to save my voice for that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for talking and joining in. Fred from Plano, I fucking love you, dude. You're hilarious. And you just got a vibe about you that's just, you're just a good dude. Just a good man. Chris, thank you so much, Chris. I didn't know. Chris, I didn't realize. Oh, Chris, no. Don't cut your finger on the cutting board, Chris. Get a Band-Aid. Chris, make sure the wound is clean. Oh, I love making weird jokes, and I understand. No wonder we're not successful. Actually, I'm going to stop thinking that way, because actually I think this has been very successful. People in my position don't usually get SEC media credentials. People in my position don't usually get, even a reply from a player on a DM or meeting a player, most people who write articles or do, content, some of the guys who I respect the most don't really even get any hits, don't even get any clicks, likes. And we always get that stuff because of you. We're like literally spoiled by you guys. You guys spoil us, and we are going to, we want to, it just makes us want to spoil you guys. We're setting up some giveaways that are coming up right into the lead up of the season, some giveaway specials on this show. And I really want to make sure some of our longtime watchers, viewers, really have a chance to win this stuff. And it's going to be a very special thing. It's not going to be 100% if you didn't watch the show, you're not going to win something. But it's definitely going to make you have to watch our shows to actually have to enter. But then there'll be a type of drawing process and type of thing. But we really want to give people who have been there from the beginning, we want to give them something awesome. And then we also want to give a bunch of just random people some awesome stuff as well to kind of say, join us, come on in. But there's some old school LSU Odyssey followers who really deserve the moon and back. And Neil Armstrong can't give it to you because he didn't land on it. Oh shit, the CIA's coming in. No shit. Oh no, I didn't mean it. I swear. We landed on the moon, guys. We landed on the moon. I swear to God. No. Fred from Plano, my man. Everybody, take it easy, guys. Have a happy Saturday night. It's going to be a sexy Saturday night. Go out and make it a sexy Saturday night. I sound like Joe Biden right there saying Saturday night. My voice has been off tonight. I sound like a drugged out Elvis. But everybody, have a sexy Saturday night. Have a sexy Saturday night, baby. Turn off those lights. Turn on those candles. Light those candles. Make it hot.